Hey guys, check it out. This is the new 2022 Acura MDX, and in this video I'm going to go over the entire vehicle both inside and out, show you all the cool gizmos and gadgets, and at the very end we're going to give it a Blazy score. Isn't that right, Blaze? The new Acura MDX is a 7-seater. Or is it? Here's one of the coolest party tricks on the new MDX. This middle seat actually comes out altogether. To do that, you pull this little strap here and fold it forward. Now I've got an area for cup holders and a little bit of storage, but if I pull another strap here at the front of the seat, the whole thing actually hinges forward, and then you can pull it out completely. It really isn't all that heavy. I now have a set of captain's chairs. What a cool idea. And when you get back into the third row, which is easy to do with the middle seat removed, you actually have pretty decent room. Not a ton of room, not a ton of headroom especially, but for kids or for an emergency, this is perfectly fine. Now the next really innovative idea is actually at the back of the Acura. It's going to be in the trunk. Now of course it's got an electric lift gate, and it's very easy to fold the third row down. I pull these two plastic levers and just push, and they glide down with no difficulty. But the innovation is actually back here with this little storage tray. Now, not all that uncommon. Lift it up, you've got a little bit of extra space underneath, but then you can remove the floor here. And if you can see, it's actually double-sided with two different latches. So if I flip it upside down, it slots right back into position. And now, rather than having a felt or carpet-lined tray, I've got a plastic, more durable lining. This is great for furry friends like Blaze. Come here, Blaze. I need you to be my demonstrator. Let's see what you think of the new plastic-lined kind of trunk here. So you can see, plop Blaze up there. If he's got a little bit of dirt on his paws, it's going to get on the plastic and not on your carpet, which is pretty cool. There are multiple ways to close the rear liftgate in the MDX. This one is especially creative. It's got a little man walking away from the tailgate, and this is like a safety feature. So if I push the button and then happen to stay underneath here, it won't close. But if I push the button and then walk away, stay, it'll close all by itself. And it's actually got like a little walk away sensor, so it knows when you walk away to start closing the rear hatch. Now if that is too much technology for you, there's also a conventional button up here, and this one will just close the rear hatch when you push it. The new MDX is full of a bunch of really creative and clever features. One of my favorites is actually the area for your USB ports. Now typically the USBs are just crafted onto the dashboard, but in the MDX they're hidden underneath this little pop-up cover. How cool is that? I don't really think that is all that important to have in a vehicle. I don't mind them being integrated into the dashboard, but it's kind of nice that they just appear out of the middle of nowhere. The new Acura MDX has a fully digital instrument cluster, and one of the most interesting features is that little car. It works a lot like the system in the Tesla vehicles, where it shows you other vehicles in relation to yourself, but it also shows you your brake lights and your turn signals when you turn them on. So I'm in park right now, but if I go into drive, you can see the car is positioned there on this imaginary road. Check this out too, when I turn on the turn signal, it models that in the car as well. What about the hazards? Let me try the hazards. Yep, the hazards are modeled also. But what happens when we turn on the adaptive cruise control? When we do that, for some reason the car turns silver. I'm not really sure why that is. It's gray right now, you can see it's gray, but as soon as I push the adaptive cruise control button, the car turns silver. Is that a glitch? I'm not super sure. Now what if we go into reverse? Do the reversing lights come on? They don't, but you can see the actual radar sensors, so you have an idea of what's near you as you back up. This MDX has a full suite of 360-degree cameras, and you can activate them by pushing this button here at the end of the stock. Once you've pushed that button, it will automatically revert to showing you, in this case, the front-facing camera and the full 360-degree camera, but if I push the button again, it will show me basically parking cameras, so I can see where my wheels are. Now located here prominently in the middle of the dashboard is the mode selector. It's this really nice silver knob. However, if you're not used to it, you're going to be constantly driving the MDX grabbing this to adjust the volume because it is such a prominent location on the dashboard, and it kind of looks like a volume knob as well. And when you grab it, you turn it and it changes you into sport mode, but it doesn't actually increase the volume of the system. To do that, you actually use the real volume knob, which is down here in the middle of the center console. Obviously, you'll get used to that pretty quickly, but it does catch you off guard if you're not ready for it. There are 5 different drive modes here in the MDX. They change when you turn the dynamic mode knob, and I love the sound it makes when you change the modes. Listen to this. Oh, super satisfying. So the standard mode is of course normal. I like the animation too when you go into comfort, and especially snow. It's like you're playing Gran Turismo. And then of course there's a sport mode. And lastly, if you push in on the knob, an individual mode, and you can press and hold to customize the individual mode to set up your steering and your engine and your suspension preferences. The seats in this new MDX are one of the best parts of the whole vehicle. They are a good combination of super comfortable and plush, yet also hold you in position and are nice and kind of sporty. Now, one thing I don't really love are the headrests. The headrests are super hard. They also kind of jut into you, I suspect, for a little bit of extra safety in the case of a rear end collision. And they can also move back and forth a little bit, which is nice, but they still don't quite go back far enough for my preference. But overall, the seats are excellent. Acura has nailed a lot of the tech in the new MDX, but the new touchscreen is not one I'm sure they've got 100% dialed in. It looks like it should be a touchscreen, but it isn't. You have to use the touch sensitive pad here at the base of the dashboard, and there's really no way to know where you're at in the screen. It doesn't have like a little mouse or cursor that lets you know where you're touching. It disappears the second you remove your finger, and that just makes it really frustrating to get in the right location when you try to select your different radio stations or your different navigation presets. The new MDX has one of the largest wireless charging trays I have ever seen in any vehicles. Typically, the wireless chargers in a lot of new cars are really small and a little bit frustrating to use, but not in the MDX. It is huge. This is the large iPhone, and it fits onto the tray with room to spare in both directions. Even up and down, you can move it around. That's really cool to see. And it's held in place by this little, well, I'm not really sure what it is. It looks like a handle, but it really is a palm rest for your hand when you're using the infotainment screen. But it's a really great and usable tray. Very large center console here in the MDX. It's actually a split center console. So the top portion is kind of this little tray with a coin cubby, and the bottom portion is this large storage bin with an additional USB port. The back seat in the MDX is a good place to spend time. I like how the seats move both forward and backwards. They also recline quite a lot, so you can kind of lay back and enjoy your road trip if you're a backseat passenger. And even better than that too, they're super easy to scoot forward just by touching a button if you needed to go into the third row. And they also fold flat really easily, so that folks like little Blaze can come up and say hi. Back here we also have buttons for heated rear seats and automatic climate, as well as 2 different power outlets. The new MDX has both heated and ventilated seats, but one of the cool functions is actually the automatic button here, and what that does is it looks at the outside temperature, it looks at the inside temperature, and it will dial in either heating or ventilation depending on what it sees fit. I personally think that Acura makes some of the best steering wheels in the industry. The quality of leather they use is just phenomenal. I like the small airbag and the kind of bright accents along the bottom and the sides. Also, the button positions are super easy to get to, and they just feel really, really high quality. Now, this car also has paddle shifters. They are a little bit dinky. They're just these plastic things on both the left and the right hand side of the steering wheel, but you know, they do the job. They control the 10-speed automatic transmission. Now, the overall design of the new MDX is beautiful. It's a great look. I especially love the front end design. I see a little bit of Mazda down here at the wheels, and in the rear with the LED light signature, a little bit of first gen Audi Q7, but it's a very good looking car. It's also bigger in pretty much every dimension than the outgoing one. The engine in the new MDX is pretty similar to the current MDX. It's a 3.5 liter V6. Here it makes 297 horsepower and 260 pound-feet of torque. It's mated to a 10-speed automatic now versus the 9-speed in the current model, and it has the latest and greatest generation of Acura's super handling all-wheel drive. It can distribute torque both front and back and left and right. The new 2022 Acura MDX starts at $46,900, Blazy, if you don't eat the mic, and it will top $60,000. Now, competitive set, well, I've got the official sheet from Acura here. They're saying it competes with vehicles like the Q7, Genesis GV80, BMW X5, Lexus RXL. It's a very competitive marketplace. And probably the most interesting kind of gizmo or gadget about this particular MDX is the color. It may look black on camera, but at certain angles, it is definitely purple. That's right, purple. The official color name is, are you ready? Phantom Violet Purple. That's definitely an interesting choice. So how does a new MDX do on the dog score? Well, let's find out. I've got our Bernese Mountain Dog puppy Blaze here to give his official rating. Now, Blaze says in both the weekend and daily categories, no, I'm kidding. Blaze likes the MDX a lot, especially this plastic cargo cover. The lift over height is a little bit high for the little dude, but once you get him back here, he's really happy. And you do have to kind of fold down the third row, but if you do that, there's almost nothing that the MDX can't swallow. So I'd say as a dog vehicle, it's really, really good. There you have it, the new Acura MDX, a really big improvement over the current one, both in terms of style and interior comfort and design. Now, how does it drive? Well, you're gonna have to stay tuned for next week because driving impressions are still embargoed, but we've got some really cool comparisons coming up between this vehicle and its competitors, so be sure to stay tuned for that. Blaze, a big fan of the MDX. But as always, this has been Tommy with the Fast Lane Car, and of course, little puppy Blaze here. Check out tflcar.com for the latest and greatest in new car reviews.